Why narcissists can't stand criticism. The narcissistic injury. From the editorial staff of UnderstandNarcissism.com. Understanding the fragile ego of narcissists and how their reactions ripple through relationships. Why does a simple critique feel like a personal attack to a narcissist? If you've ever tried to give constructive feedback to someone with narcissistic tendencies, you've likely encountered anger, denial, or even a full-blown meltdown. This intense reaction stems from a psychological phenomenon known as narcissistic injury. Narcissistic injury occurs when criticism, rejection, or anything perceived as a threat challenges a narcissist's inflated self-image. In this article, we'll explore why narcissists react so strongly to criticism, what fuels their sensitivity, and how to handle these situations with care while protecting your well-being. What is narcissistic injury? At its core, a narcissistic injury is an emotional wound. To most people, criticism may sting, but is often a stepping stone for growth. For narcissists, however, it cuts deeper, attacking the very foundation of their self-worth. Their grandiose sense of self hides an underlying fragility, making them hypersensitive to anything that disrupts their carefully constructed persona. Narcissistic injuries aren't just minor bruises to the ego. They're perceived as existential threats. For the narcissist, the gap between their ideal self and reality becomes glaringly apparent, creating an unbearable sense of inadequacy. A real-life example: subtle narcissistic control. Imagine someone making an innocuous statement during a group setting, something lighthearted and without malice. In response, another individual interjects sharply, "Why do you always say that?" The tone implies annoyance or judgment, even though the original comment wasn't critical. The person targeted instantly retreats into silence, visibly uncomfortable for the remainder of the evening. Witnessing this dynamic, a family member later remarks, "Oh, they always do that," brushing off the incident as a normal part of the relationship. What's happening here? The narcissist's perception of threat. The comment wasn't inherently offensive, but the narcissist perceived it as a disruption to their sense of control or authority, triggering a defensive response. The retort subtly shifts attention and power back to the narcissist. The target's withdrawal. The reaction silences the person, discouraging them from further engagement. This response is a typical result when people are conditioned to walk on eggshells around a narcissist. Normalization by others. The family member's casual dismissal reflects how toxic dynamics can become normalized over time, even when they undermine healthy communication and relationships. This example illustrates how narcissists use seemingly minor interactions to assert control, often leaving others disempowered or hesitant to speak up. Why criticism feels like a threat. For most people, criticism targets specific actions or behaviors, not their identity. Narcissists see no distinction between what they do and who they are. As a result, even minor critiques or innocuous comments feel like attacks on their very being. When you point out a flaw or even make an observation, a narcissist may interpret it as confirmation of their deepest fear, that they are not as special or capable as they want to appear. Their reaction triggers feelings of shame, which they struggle to process healthily. They may lash out or engage in other defensive behaviors to avoid this pain. Impact on others. The ripple effect. As the above example shows, narcissistic reactions don't just affect the narcissist and the immediate target, they ripple out to impact everyone around them. Emotional silencing. Those close to the narcissist may feel discouraged from engaging, fearing similar responses. Normalization of dysfunction. When these dynamics are left unaddressed, others may accept them as usual, perpetuating the behavior. Erosion of confidence. Constantly undermining or dismissing others' voices can damage self-esteem and strain relationships. For anyone in this environment, recognizing these dynamics is the first step to breaking free from their influence. How to handle a narcissist's reaction to criticism. When dealing with a narcissist, it's crucial to approach the situation strategically to avoid escalating the conflict or falling into their emotional traps. Here's how. Stay neutral. Avoid showing visible frustration or upset, as this can feed into their need for control. Set boundaries. If interactions become toxic, remove yourself from the conversation or situation. Document behavior. If the narcissist's reactions impact professional or legal matters, consider documenting incidents objectively. Criticism is a normal part of human interactions. Still, for narcissists, it feels like a direct assault on their self-worth. Understanding the dynamics of narcissistic injury can help you handle these situations with empathy and strength while protecting your boundaries. Even subtle, everyday interactions, like a sharp retort during a group conversation, can reveal deeper dynamics of control and sensitivity. By recognizing these patterns and their impact on others, we can navigate narcissistic behavior with greater clarity and confidence. The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. We are not licensed clinicians, mental health professionals, lawyers, or legal advisors. For any concerns regarding mental health or personal situations, please seek advice from a qualified professional. For more details, please read our full disclaimer.